Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. This is Roland, and I am joined today with Molly Youngblood Geiger. Say hi, Molly.
Hi, everyone. My name is Molly Youngblood Geiger of Design Right For You out of Jacksonville, Florida, and looking forward to our conversation today.
Yeah, and we're going to ask Molly to deliver her view of what's going on in mobile and also what's going on in Google Hangouts and Google Plus. There's a lot going on, and I've been doing some research on the side and discovering how to use certain things, and have decided that I don't like Google Plus, the new changes, but maybe she can give us some enlightenment as to how we can like it better. And I have a couple of screen shares right off the bat that I need to post to everybody before our crowd gets too big. And this is Trinette Hackett, who's in the audience, and she says, "Getting my coffee pot ready for this. My uncle rocks." So I wanted to show that first of all, but I wanted to actually follow it with Randy Smith saying, "Good morning, Trinette. You were right. Your uncle rocks." So I've got the general consensus from everybody that I rock, and so I thought I would share that with you. Oh wow! And anyway, I'm just having fun, and thank you very much for your comments and your pluses there, Trinette and Randy. I appreciate that. So anyway, the subject started a couple of weeks ago of the new trends of the year, what the things are that carried over until now. Oh, hi, Karen. How you doing? So why don't you just turn your mic on a second and say hi to everybody and welcome Karen. Karen V. Chin, everybody.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. I've been having computer glitches this week. So luckily I'm actually on today, which is a miracle, I think. Maybe it's because it's Thanksgiving weekend and Google doesn't want us to be online. Who knows?
You know, it's really strange after all the episodes that we've had, like the comment gremlins and this problem, that problem, and there are different issues with comment tracker and so forth. With at risk of jinxing myself, I've had no problems lately, and everything seems.
See, you're doing it now. you're
I'm not
taunting.
superstitious. I'm not superstitious, and I can challenge the gremlins. We conquered them, so I'm all success oriented, and that's how we're gonna keep it. So I'm not worried. But thank you for your concerns, Karen. Anyway, the subject basically revolved around things that were hanging on in the year 2015, the trends, and so forth. And we covered a lot of that the last 2 weeks. But today, we want to talk about mobile. But before we get to mobile, there's so many things that have gone on in Google Hangouts and Google Plus that I thought we would ask Molly to give a little bit of a dissertation regarding the changes and to describe to us what's going on, and then we can have a short discussion regarding that. So, Molly, can I turn this over to you? We can talk about Google Plus and Google Hangouts.
Sure. So, just a short while ago, Google had a brand new change to Google Plus, and primarily the reason they did the change was to focus more on communities and collections versus individual profiles. And a lot of people have been very, I guess, disconcerted with the change. They were so used to the old platform and the way that they would interact with people socially on Google Plus. So I think one of the insights, the reason why they're doing this is because with the evolution of Google Plus, they really are trying to make Google Plus more social and kind of disassociate their products with Google Plus. And what I mean by that is, a while back, a lot of the different Google products were associated with Google Plus. I guess that was their initial initiative, but they've kind of taken a back step to that, and since then they have started, separating products from Google Plus, and I think they're doing that in an effort to make Google Plus more social. One of the recent products that they've disassociated was Google Hangouts. I am actually very active on Hangouts, not only on your show, but in my professional life, and I also participate in the Google Hangouts help forum. So if you guys ever have a question about Hangouts, I strongly encourage you to visit the Google Hangouts help forum. There's a lot of rising stars, top contributors in those forums that are there to help out. But primarily for me, and I've had several people actually ask me about what's going on with Google Plus and why are they doing this. I think mainly it's because they are trying to make Google Plus more social. At one point people were talking about, oh, Google Plus is dead, it's going away, it's not going to come back. I don't think that's the case at all. I think Google Plus is evolving, and it's like with any other social platform. I mean, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, they're all changing all the time. They're all the time tweaking things, adding things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. And I think that's part of the interesting experience of participating on social media is it is an all evolving type of platform. It's not just a set it and forget it type scenario. So that's my initial dissertation, if you will, on why I think why Google is doing what they're doing with Google Plus is to disconnect their products with Google Plus and make Google Plus a more social platform. And if you think from a social platform, the communities, collections, those are all different vehicles for people to communicate their thoughts and ideas. I've mentioned this before. I participate in several communities like the Google Partners community, Google Small Business community. So primarily, I think their focus now is on collections and communities, and that actually brings up a really good idea because I know earlier this year Karen did, I think it was a 3-part series about collections and their importance and why a business and why a person should be using collections. And I'd actually turn it over to Karen real quick and let her chime in about that. Karen?
Yeah, actually, I was going to mention, Molly, what I find that with the new transition with Google Plus and its new interface and how the interaction is, I'm finding that collections is even more active than it has in the past. I don't know about you, what you see with your collections, but I'm finding that I'm getting more folks following me more than ever before, not just ones that where I have 2 collections that are being featured by Google Plus, but I also have additional ones that I think once they join the 2, then they kind of like look through all my other collections, and I'm finding that happening. I could tell you that I know John Kotal, he has a very popular collection on Google Plus called Aviation is his topic, aviation history, and he's finding that he's getting even more so now with the changeover, plus the fact that he's actually getting higher engagement and click-throughs to his not only to his website but also to his other collections, more so than even with the Smithsonian Aviation History community that he is in terms of what he's finding through circle count. So I think for businesses it's even more so than ever to basically start your collections if you haven't started it already, because there is a lot more engagement, and I'm finding people are actually having more conversations too, at least in my collections.
Yeah, I think that primarily was Google's intent on the new interface was to promote collections and communities, and that's something maybe later on we can explore the different communities on Google Plus, because there's so many Google ran communities that they are ran by Google. So they have valuable information and insights as a business owner that you can take away. And I primarily think that there's a strategy even behind that as to why they're focusing on collections and communities. I think it's to not make people, but to engage people to be more social on those particular platforms.
Yeah, and I also think too that with the new interface that you can actually share now on Facebook and on Twitter, besides Google Plus, which is even more so than I think any other of the channels. When you think how easy it is, you can do with Google Plus now.
And that's a really good point, because I've had people ask me a lot of times, what's your preferred platform? What's your preferred social network? And for me, it's not really about having a preferred social network. It's about interacting on all the different platforms. And they go, gosh, how do you find the time to do all of that? And there's several different strategies that I use to interact on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Google Plus. But I think as a business owner, it's important to understand where your audience is. And you may have people who are Facebook people, or you may have people who are Google Plus people, or you may have people who are LinkedIn people. But as a business owner, you have to take your strategy and kind of weave it around all of those social platforms, so that way you don't miss out on any potential customers.
Yeah, I mean you have to go where your audience is, and if they are on those other platforms, you just have to go.
Exactly.
You can't fight it, Roland.
Okay. Well, just to let you know how I'm expanding out with that, you know that I don't think much of Facebook. However, I am doing some limited things because of the impact points. I believe in not doing everything, but I believe in doing what makes a difference. And the thing that's taking the precedence over any kind of Facebook activity for me is Blab, because it links up with the Twitter world. And I had a really good Blab today, and I'm formulating it so that it's like a precursor to the show. So it's the Saturday morning Marketing Smarties pre-show Blab. And what I offered to people was, come on in and discuss things with me. And then if you come up with something important, I might actually use it in my presentation of the Smarties show on Google Plus and Hangouts. And so I basically said, come do this, and maybe we'll use your information for that. And then I got this guy that named Steven, who runs a show called The Tech Buzz, and I posted it in the early stream there, but I'll post it again. But the Tech Buzz is really the Tech Buzz. This guy's not messing around. And he came up with some really good questions and so forth. So the Blab itself was worth watching because we chatted about some great stuff, technology-wise. But I encourage you to tune in on thetechbuzz.net, and I will post that again in the stream later on. But Blab works, and someone will find you, and you don't have to be doing the outreach thing because people are looking for you. So if you've got a conversation that works, they will come to you. Build it, and they will come. And that was my experience with Blab. So I'm thinking about linking up the two systems, the Hangout systems and the Blab system, and making the best of both worlds. And hopefully, if they don't stand independently, they might actually feed each other. And either way you look at it, the energy grows. So that's my take on that. But I do have a couple questions now on Google Hangouts and Google+. Now, I was able to go back to the original version of Google+, and I got rid of the interface on Google+ changes because I couldn't even find the events, and I couldn't even find how to enter Hangouts from Google+, and I didn't have time to do that kind of research. So my question, first of all, with that, and this parallels what I had to question about Google Hangouts, is the original version of Google+ going away? Are they going to eliminate that?
I don't think for the immediate future that it's going away because so many people are so familiar with the old interface that they don't to take that away from people, they could potentially use or lose a lot of users. So I don't think immediately it's going to go away. I haven't heard any plans that it is. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and say both versions are going to be made available. They may eventually phase out the old version though. If they do, I'm almost certain that they will make some type of official announcement that hey, 3 months from now we officially are not going to be working on that type of platform. So as for Hangouts, I actually had an audience member reach out to me and ask the same question about Hangouts and, well, how do you access Hangouts? And I know right now with Hangouts, you can always access it from Gmail and Google+. Now, from Google+, it's a little bit different, the new interface, and the reason it's a little bit different is because Hangouts actually has its own official website now.
Sure.
They announced this, I guess, 2-3 months ago. So, if you're not sure where to go within Google+, if you're using the new interface, you can always just go to Google and Google Hangouts, and it will take you to the official Google Hangouts website where you can absolutely, you can instant message people, a video chat, or you can do a Google Hangout on there.
Cool. Now, the point well taken as far as getting to Google Hangouts, but once I got to Google Hangouts, their whole interface had changed too.
Yes.
And since it did, I'm looking at this page going, how the hell do you set up comment tracker? So my question I could tell you about for the next half hour the antics that I went through to figure out what was going on. But maybe you could just answer this. is the old original version of Hangouts going away, or are they going to keep it around? Because either that or they have to modify the new one, because I don't even know how to set up comment tracker in the new version.
Right. I think the answer is the same as for Google Plus, where it's something that they're not going to phase it out immediately, but they have done the new rollouts to the new interface for Hangouts so people can get used to it. And if they do phase out the old interface, I'm sure that they'll make some type of official announcement that we are going to be rolling out, or we are going to be ending the old interface. I've seen them do this several times before on different platforms, AdWords, analytics, where they've taken certain features and they've improved upon them or they've added them. And usually they go to their official blog post, depending on what product it is, and they'll do an official post, hey, by the way, this is the update, and the old interface, we're going to keep it around for a few months, and then when they do finally decide, well, we're going to phase this out, they will actually go, by the way, you have 2 months, 3 months to switch over to the new interface. I don't think Google's ever going to pull the carpet out from underneath their users, so to speak, when they do new product and updates. I think it's something that they are trying to help people online, and that's why they take the time to come up with these updates and interface changes, because they're just trying to make it easier for the user to interact. And it's just like anything, when it switches, it's new, it's hard, it's like, oh, I got to learn this all over again. But they really, but believe me, in my industry, it's constantly like that. But they really are trying to improve the user experience, and that's why they're coming up with these updates.
Yeah, makes sense. And in the meantime, they're thinking to themselves, let's see, 1% of the people use comment trackers, so now, they don't need that. So we'll just eliminate that from the books and keep, but at least if they would take their own internal comment system and improve that and make it work better than comment tracker, that would make sense. But now they're going to basically force us into the funnel of the new era and eliminate the features that we're so used to, and that's my only complaint with technological changes.
I've always said that if you're going to hang with Google, you better hang on tight, because they move fast and they move swift. So it's one of those things that, I think just the whole industry in general, technology, it just is always evolving. It's always changing. I mean, just think about what's happened in the last couple of years, in terms of what technological advances have happened. So, and I'm really excited for the future, because, Google's now starting to implement artificial intelligence and machine learning across a few of their products so far. And I'm really going to be interested to see where they're going with this. So if you think it's moving fast now, hang on, because it's really going to be taking off here in the next year or so.
So are we going to be looking back a year from now and go, oh yeah, remember when we were doing those things in Hangouts instead of where we are now?
You just never know. I can't think how they would implement artificial intelligence and machine learning with Hangouts, but I know as of right now they've already implemented it with AdWords. There's the Universal App campaign, which uses artificial intelligence to help create the ads, and then Gmail, the Gmail app or the Inbox app on Android actually uses machine learning to do something called a smart reply. And what that is basically is if you have a common message that you send to a person on a regular basis, if they email you and you're not immediately available, the Inbox smart reply app it's smart reply feature within the app, but it will actually automatically email that person back. So, cool. And that was just announced like maybe a month ago.
Well, technology is moving fast, that's for sure. And by the way, we have someone in the audience named Hitesh Kakad, and also Carmen Mandich is here. She's been missing for a couple of weeks now, and you've been saying you'd show up. And even from the Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties anniversary show, we expected you then. So welcome, Carmen. And she had a comment for you, and basically was covered by what we've been talking about for the most part. She says, Molly, not in the near future. Do you think that we will get a warning because there was an avalanche of people who were lost? I got the change about 10 p.m. and it was not a good hour to get hit with such a change. So yeah, I totally uh, echo that, Carmen, and I agree completely. But basically, I think that we have to roll with the changes regardless. But I'm just letting people know that there are at least ways you can revert back to the original right now. And if you're trying to do Hangouts and you're wondering how in the heck do we get the comment tracker, basically you go to the three dots on the upper right-hand side of the screen. And I wish I'd done a screen share before I dashed it forever. It's not coming up now. It's keeping me in the original version. But when the new version shows up, there are three dots in the upper part of the screen. Where, let's see, I think if I do that, and if you mouse over the three dots, click on that, and you can go down to about a little past the halfway mark. There is the tab that says original version. So that's your salvation. You can still go to the original version and use the comment tracker and all of the normal key buttons that you're used to popping up on the left side, and all the controls for inside the Hangout will be up on the top the way they used to be. And I think that the new version has absolutely no advantage over the old one, except for it's a lot simpler because it doesn't do anything. I mean, you know, all the things that we're used to are missing in action. Lower thirds, add this, add that, comment tracker, and whatever you're used to, it's just not there. And so, to use the original version, go to the dots, go down the pop-up to a little past the halfway mark, and click on original version, and you'll find your way back there. So okay, that's the update on Google Plus and Google Hangouts, and the emphasis is on collections. I think that the change is good for that, and obviously they're getting more use, so they made a good decision to focus on those things. But in the process, they're dividing and conquering their resources and letting some very important things go. So I hope they don't get the wrong idea and dash us on the rocks with what we're used to. So hopefully that's the case. So let's go ahead and move the conversation over to. Go ahead, Karen.
I actually have a question for Molly. So back to Google Plus and the classic version, and now the newer version. What I'm finding, and I don't know if this is happening to other people, but when you're using an Apple product and you are trying to, and you get invited to use the new feature, it's not easy to go back to the classic version. Is there any tips that you can suggest for people who are having that issue? And is it just the classic G Plus version only on desktop?
Well, I know that one of the main reasons why they came up with the new version is so it has a more familiar look across different devices, for mobile, for tablet, for laptop. Personally, I am using Android. I've always been an Android fan, so I don't have any particular insights as to what you're experiencing. My only, I guess, suggestion is since Google is Android, they've probably made it easier for Android users to make that switch back and forth. That would be my insight as to what's going on with it being an Apple device versus an Android device. So if you're an iPhone user or Apple user, I would just suggest maybe picking one version and sticking with it, and wait until they update for iOS. It's something I know that they usually will do upgrades for iOS, but it usually comes after the main announcement.
Yeah, because I find now that if I'm on an Apple device, it's like the Google Plus is kind of stripped down because they pulled out the events, they pulled out Hangouts, so it's not as easy. It's not all in one place. You got to kind of have to hunt for those items, and so I was hoping that maybe. If you've heard anything about whether or not they're going to release it so that we can have it kind of back again where it's a little bit more intact. I know that Hangouts is completely pulled out for sure now because it's not easy.
So, well, and that kind of goes back to my earlier comment that they're really trying to just strip down Google Plus to be just a social platform and not really integrate with any of their products, and that's why they're literally separating. And they've been doing this for quite some time now, just systematically detaching different products from Google Plus. So in the whole scope of things, I think eventually they will strip all the products away from Google Plus, and it will be just a social platform.
Yeah, I mean, I'm finding it, and back to your comment about change and rapid change with Google. It seems like they make their changes like once a quarter. So when you think about it, like once a quarter, something big happens, and then you get kind of used to it, and then again, the next quarter happens. So,
Yeah.
kind of get ready for January, because I'm sure something's really big is going to happen in January 2016.
It's interesting you point out that they do these updates in quarters, because they do evolve as a company every quarter, meaning that's when they announce new updates. They have the Google Partners community every quarter. We have the Google Partners Connect event. So they are a company that is very focused on quarterly changes. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
Cool. Now, I hope you're listening, folks, because there's a lot of inside information regarding Google and Hangouts and communities and stuff. We also have been joined by Dr. Margaret and Barbara Quick. So a couple more people that we're welcoming. Thank you very much for spending your Black Saturday with us. And I know that a lot of people are still shopping because, Black Saturday is kind of a funny thing. Black Friday is a funny thing. It's like none of the prices change, but they just feature better ads and more stuff, and they write Black Friday on everything, and everybody goes, oh yeah, we got to go. So the marketers are out there laughing in their shirt sleeves saying, hee hee hee, we can plant the ad and the people are going to come anyway, so let's invest in the best ads so they come into our store. No, don't change any prices. They're fine. And so the thing that I've looked at is that there are not many better buys going on Friday than what they were on Thursday. And there are some leaders and stuff, but they're only like 1,000 people shopping for an item, and they're lining up outside the door of the store, and then there are 3 left before they even open the door. So that kind of bugs me.
It's kind of
Karen,
like,
you have something to say.
you think of it this way. It's this time of year. It's like Pablo's dog, if you remember that in college.
Yeah.
Right? It's like ring the bell, the dog gets excited. I mean, I think that's what people feel like when it comes to Black Friday, because it's a social thing, it's an emotional thing, it's more I think than just shopping. It's just being out there, and it kind of gets people in the, it's a party. It gets the people in the holiday spirit. I'm not going to say it's a Christmas. We're not going to get into that kind of phase, but it's just more of it's an American tradition, which I think is now becoming more global, with other countries experiencing similar. Hopefully not as crazy as what I saw on television with Walmart, but that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. So anyway, we can wrap that up for now, but we wanted to shift gears a bit and deal with the concept of mobile. And to basically get us started, I can turn to Molly. I would want to ask you, what do you think the biggest takeaways are from the mobile industry as we progress through 2015, and what do you think we want to focus on going into 2016?
Yeah, I would say as a business owner, what you want to focus on is marketing yourself to a mobile device. In fact, my brother shared with me, he works for Toyota Southeast Campus here in Jacksonville, and he shared with me some technology and brand new truck that they're offering. Is called a mobile office. And I think with that being said, that kind of sheds more insights that everything is shifting to mobile. And honest to God, some of the features that this vehicle had was just amazing. It literally was its own mobile office. You could do everything from this vehicle that you could do from a smartphone or an actual office. And he said the reason why Toyota took this focus towards a mobile office is because of all those businesses out there that are working in the field. We got roofers and lawn care people and home services people, plumbers and people they're constantly on the go. And he goes, they're finally realizing that while they can work from a mobile device, they feel limited. And I think that has partly to do with the interaction of the device, because right now we're focused on interacting with the glass screen. Google is actually working on a technology called Project Soli. It's a radio wave technology that is going to allow a user to wear something on their hand that will interact with the smartphone. But at the same time, this concept that Toyota's come up with about having a mobile office, I think is a strong indication that it is so important to just go ahead and market your business online towards mobile. In fact, I read an article recently where some website designers, they don't even take laptop or desktop design into consideration anymore. They're so focused on mobile design, and I'm not talking about just responsive. I'm talking about literally a mobile design for mobile devices that, it's almost like, designing for a website or for a laptop. I'm not going to say it's going away anytime soon, but it's definitely not the top priority with website designers and developers right now, because the studies have shown that there's been such a huge increase with the mobile audience about people, they go, they type, I need a bakery near me, or I need a lawn care person near me. That goes into what Google's doing with their beta test in San Francisco about home services, and people, they type into Google that they need a particular home service, and they are now recommending businesses. And that goes into a recent event that the Google Partners community held live from the Googleplex, called the Google Partners Connect Home Services event, where they literally took and crunched numbers about industry specifics and why it's so important for those industries to be concerned about being on mobile devices. In fact, one of the things that I think really impacted me when I watched the presentation is they did a case study about the evolution of the mobile phone, and they literally showed a picture of what it looked like, and it literally was bigger than a brick when it first came out. A brick is 8 inches long, and the first mobile phone, I think they said it was 12 inches long, so it's 4 inches longer than an actual brick. And they went through the different years. I wish I could screen share it, but and I could try to screen share the event. I have it queued, but they had another really great case study where they showed a picture of the Vatican in 2003. And in this picture, it was a group of worshipers, and there was one person in the corner holding a smartphone out of this entire group of people. Then they fast forwarded to 2013, another picture of people at the Vatican, and it was like a rock concert. Literally, practically every person there had a smartphone, holding a smartphone in their hand, and they said the commentator even commented, he's like, the days of holding up lighters at rock concerts are gone, because you don't need them anymore because everybody has a smartphone now. So I think some of those insights that they shared during the Connect event were really important ones to just showcase that, so many people, in fact, he even went on to say that, he's like, you know what, I'm not even worried about losing my wallet anymore. He goes, you know why? I'm more concerned about losing my smartphone. Because if I lost my wallet, all I'd have to do is pick my phone up, contact my carriers, my credit card carriers, notify them that my credit cards have been stolen, and then all I've got to do is use my e-wallet. I can use, there's several, PayPal, that's an online resource for people to pay with, Google's Wallet, that's another resource. And so, when somebody says, I don't even care about losing my wallet, I care more about my smartphone or losing my smartphone, I think that's a big statement to say that, so many people are so concerned about their smartphone. In fact, there's an actual term, it's for the fear of not having your smartphone near you. It's called nanophobia. And what it means is it refers to a person who is fearful of losing their smartphone. So those are some of the takeaways that they shared during the event.
Good grief. I mean, I know that I've been studying that one of the things that I'll be working into in January is the science of positivity. And it's an actual science. And I will be explaining more about that. And my show is basically based on it. And the show is going to be called What is the Positive? And I've got whatisthepositive.com, and of course I'll be building all around it. Someone joined us a little while ago, Dr. Aranda. Hitesh, it is the first time I've seen you, and I would love to find out more about you and where you come from and where you're viewing from and so forth. And also Gary Wayland is in the audience. And people are talking about apple pie, so how we ever got there, but you're welcome to talk about that in the Saturday morning Marketing Smarties. I love apple pie. Anyway, when you're talking about the mobile stuff, a few things I wanted to add. It's not just, we talk about mobile friendly, and we talk about mobile compatibility, and we talk about responsive design. But there are a few things that we really need to consider when we're considering those things. So I made some notes, and this was mostly derived from an article by Matthew Mombrea, written in ByteStream, and he says web design predictions for 2016 and 2017. And of course, it's a renewed emphasis on originality. So we're going to get really original this year. We're going to see more hand-drawn artwork and stuff like that. We're also going to see simplistic art, and we're going to see a thing called, what is it called? It's called almost flat design or semi-flat design. What is flat design? Flat design is basically removing the basic, the concepts of panoramic views, pictures, and so forth, and breaking it down to real bold colors, solid colors, less gradients or no gradients, and making color something in splotches and blocks of solid shades. And you'll see a lot of that going on. Semi-flat design is taking that platform and then infusing a more of a 3D look of a picture or something that's really highly intensely graphic with a full-on photograph type of styling and integrating it in that flat base design. And that's what people are going to be doing nowadays. And so anyway, the evolution of flat design is now semi-flat or almost flat design. And if you want to talk about that, we can talk about that another time. The use of cards is going to become very, very prevalent. So you've got Twitter cards and you've got different things. WordPress has plugins for cards. And if you want to know what cards are, look up YouTube cards and see what they look like. But Karen, do you have something to contribute?
I was going to say, so Roland, I think maybe for the audience, just kind of describe what a card is. I think a card is basically what you see on YouTube. It's a little description that you can click on to take you to the next link is the best way to describe it. So
Yeah,
just for folks to understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was basically what I was going to do. And then say also that from that concept that you see in YouTube, that's what they're building into websites now. So part of the contribution of this development of cards is that it's highly mobile focused and it's very viewable on a 2.5-inch wide screen. And so they designed this concept of cards, and people are getting really used to looking for the cards and using the cards.
So it's not just mobile. It's more just, it's actually, when you really think about it, Roland, it's about engagement. You know, it's basically that call to action, telling the person watching your video, watching the ad, what to do, because people basically, psychologically just need to know what to do next. And if the card is there telling them to click here, it just makes it so much easier.
It's the new call to action. So they called 2015 the year of the card. I mean, they actually called it the year of the card. So that's why we're building it into WordPress plugins. And the use generally in websites, the card is more likely to be seen than other kinds of pop-ups. Because I hate pop-ups, but when you have the card, it's something that you could be right in the web page and unintrusive. It is the content. It doesn't pop up in front of your content and be intrusive in that way. But it's displayed as a card, and since it's displayed as a card, it works perfectly on mobile phones. So it's a crossover from the old to the new. It's going to be one of the new techniques that makes the most sense. And it is basically the new call to action.
Yeah, and then the other thing to talk about too is the pop-up is that, just to make sure that everyone understands that pop-ups don't happen on Google. It's not part of AdWords, so if you're thinking that Google is actually wanting pop-ups for their advertising, they actually ban it. You can't do pop-ups.
That's very cool. Because of personal preference, I hate pop-ups.
Yeah, I think everyone hates it. So no strobing lights, no pop-ups, nothing flashing, nothing. You can't. I mean, Google won't even let that ad actually show.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because people are still thinking that pop-ups are a good idea. And I quit using them a year ago. I just said I used them for some people, but then a year ago I just said no, I'm not going to use them. And when people ask me for them, I'm going to say nope, bad idea.
Yeah, it's not part of the Google advertising.
But still, the tactic of having a pop-up is still taught by the many. and by average marketing systems, they say do a pop-up, and it's a bad idea, and definitely a matter of choice. But Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties does not endorse pop-ups. Get rid of them. It's our best advice. So that's my take on that. I had a question for Molly and Karen regarding the long scrolling pages. I know it's a heavy thing for mobile, but parallax scrolling, and if you want to know what parallax scrolling, basically the background moves at a different rate than the foreground or your content. So the background looks independent, makes the website look really live, but it's not the best thing on a cell phone. You've got a smaller screen and so forth. So the big wide backgrounds and the parallax scrolling and the long pages of scrolling pages, where's that going for 2016?
Right. Well, I'm very familiar with scroll sprite navigation, parallax scrolling. I've designed a few sites using those, and I think from a usability standpoint, from a regular device, that it's okay, but I don't think that's going to be the focus in 2016. I think it's one of those things that's kind of like Flash. It was kind of neat when we had it, kind of deal, but it's one of those things that's not necessarily going to stick around too long. It is, it's a neat way to display your website. I mean, I admit the parallax scrolling actually uses the same technology as the old 80s arcade games, where you kind of have the solid background, and then you've got all the things popping and moving and all that stuff. So that's basically the same concept as a parallax scrolling website. But I think from a usability standpoint, from a mobile device, I don't think that's so much the focus. I think it really is about having that mobile device right there to where a user can interact with it. And I would actually tie into that. That is why Google is really focused on their voice recognition. They've made a lot of improvements in their voice recognition software that interacts with Google Now. If you're not familiar with Google Now, it is a personal search assistant that Google offers that basically helps you find stuff. It gives you directions and answers questions. I find myself more and more actually working from my mobile device. In fact, I've gotten to the point where I pretty much work from my mobile phone all day long up until everyone goes to sleep, and then I haul out the old laptop and I start up Dreamweaver and I start doing my design work. But just regular day-to-day interactions like phone calls, text messages, emails, setting up appointments, even hopping on a Hangout, I'm doing from mobile now. It's something I resisted at first. I did not want to work from my smartphone because I thought, this is a phone, you're just supposed to talk on it. And I've since changed my mind about that, and I said, this technology is here, why not embrace it? And yeah, it was not easy. It was a big, it's kind of like the same thing with the switch from the old Google Plus interface to the new. It was not comfortable, it was not easy. But it's something that's like anything else. If you practice, if you use it, just try and familiarize yourself with it. You will eventually get used to it. And I'm finding more and more that I am getting directions. I turn on my data. I'm going to some place I've never been before, and it literally tells me every move to make. In fact, the other day I was going somewhere, and there was a fork in the road, and it literally told me, you want to stay to the right of the fork in the road. So, I mean, it was almost like somebody was holding my hand, theoretically speaking, while I'm going someplace I've never been before, and it made my experience so much better. And I think that goes back to the whole concept of Google and what they're trying to do. They're trying to make users' experience easier. And it doesn't mean just literally from a laptop or a mobile device. It's got to the point where in real life, I mean, you're really going to an appointment, you've never been to this place. Its GPS system is so advanced that it knows all the different nuances of, you need to stay in the right lane instead of just kind of going on your own and going, which lane do I stay in, kind of deal. So that's kind of been my experience with mobile. And I think another important thing to bring up just very quickly are the Google Knowledge Graph cards. A business can actually optimize their own knowledge graph cards. It will take the assistance of a developer. The developer basically goes in, they drop the code onto your website, and what happens is it does take time to index, just like search engine optimization or anything like that. But if you take the time to optimize your knowledge graph card for your business, it's going to be very beneficial. You can include things like your logo, you can include video, you can include your social profiles. And this is all things that you can use to beef up your knowledge graph card, because when somebody does a search for you on mobile, they're looking for information, and that's why it's so important as a business to be able to provide as much information as possible. So for me, I think mobile is the way to go. I think it's going to tie in with local businesses, being on mobile, and just being there to help people who are on the go.
Cool, Molly. And what I have a question for you is, do you think that the VR people are ever going to offer personality people to speak in from the virtual world? Are they going to be like, no, I want a woman's voice, no, I want a man's voice, no, I want a special character, I want this actor or actress, and then basically design the character and the attitude with which they're conveying these messages to you? Maybe
Right. That's a great
Schwarzenegger's
question.
like, no, turn right here, dang it. You know, what's wrong? You know,
That's
this kind of thing.
an interesting question. Actually, in the Google Partners community, somebody did a post. I don't remember their name, and I apologize for that. But they actually, I think it was Jay Clements. He put a post in there saying, you know, why is it they use a woman's voice versus a man's voice for, you know, Siri, for, you know, Google Now? And my response to that is because, you know, from the time we're very, very young, even before we're born, we learn our mother's voice. And, you know, when we have a problem, who do we go to? We go to mom, you know. And so I think that was the psychology behind using a female's voice. But to answer your question, I don't know. I mean, they could potentially have different, you know, different types of voices. I don't know if they will get that advanced. But when it comes to virtual reality, since you mentioned it, I do think that that is going to be a big trend in 2016. I've seen several articles. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Google Cardboard, I guess glasses, if you will, goggles. But they're being used for virtual reality, and they have actually implemented this in the classroom for students where, since, you know, again, going back to mobile, all the kids, they've all got their own mobile device, and so they are taking their mobile device and inserting them into the virtual reality goggles and taking these children on field trips, literally from virtual reality. So I think that's a big trend, you know, to be aware of as well.
Yeah. So on the VR voice thing, do you think people would rather listen to Hillary Clinton or Marilyn Monroe give them directions as they go down the street? So I don't know. It's just an interesting thought, you know, the voice that they use. But all these things are developing, and it's on the edge of our frontier. A few things from yesteryear that you want to focus on as we're exiting the subject of mobile and mobile design is that typography has become more and more important as we got more and more mobile, because on the smaller screen people are experimenting with what catches the eye better. And so it used to be, I mean, originally it was like everything was Times New Roman, and when everything went to Arial and Helvetica as a default, and then everything kind of morphed to Verdana and Tahoma and we're speaking of fonts, different kinds of fonts. But now Google Fonts has made it available to have hundreds of different things. So as you're designing a website, consider other fonts. They're very, very readable, and they're very enticing when it comes to the personality of your website. So as you're developing your website, you want to concern yourself with what's the best font for you. And there are more choices than just Arial or Helvetica, and God forbid, Times New Roman. What do you think about Times New Roman? Is it going away?
No. No.
Are you a proponent of using it?
No, but it's not going away. I mean, I think it's because the world is still based on Microsoft, and that's one of the fonts that they have as a default, and it's going to be there. But Times Roman and Helvetica are not going away.
Well, Times New Roman, because newspapers, right?
Those particular fonts are known as serif fonts, but I think the trend now are the fonts that are not serif fonts, the non-serif fonts, like what Google has recently changed their logo to. And I know just from a usability standpoint, when you use a serif font versus a non-serif font, it actually it takes more, not data, but more space. And so to improve the user experience, and this is actually one of the reasons that the logic why they changed the font, is it reduced their file size from like, I think 20 megabytes, so, or kilobytes rather. So when you can do that, that opens up space on the server. It's going to make the user experience faster. I would say to business owners that strongly research the different type of fonts that you're going to include, because it does make an impact on your audience, just like Google did whenever they changed their logo.
Good news. And the different natures of these fonts make it easier to read, make it smoother reading from the eye following the font and the flow of the text. And furthermore, it conveys attitude and personality. I mean, some things have more edges to it and look more modern, and some look more stylish, some look softer and more feminine. I mean, there are all kinds of fonts, so you want to consider strongly the message that you're delivering from the heart core of your business, and then select your font. And you've got all these options now that you didn't have a few years ago. So that's another thing. We're almost wrapping it up here, about another 10 minutes. But I wanted to know, I sent Carmen Mandich, because I've owed her an invitation since the anniversary party that we had on the line, an invitation to the green room. So Carmen, you going to join us in the green room or not? When are you going to actually show? So I just thought I'd throw that in there. You've got the invitation. Let me know if you need any more connectivity than that, or a little bit of guidance. But we'd like to see you in the green room, because I owe you that. Okay, moving on, because we got a few more minutes here. One of the things that we want to stress when it comes to mobile, because you've got that small device, we want to stress quality over quantity. It used to be just post, put the most content possible, and now, of course, especially with the advent of the mobile world, we want to be clear and concise and to the point, and post quality and focus on that. It's more important than getting a volume or a number of posts out there. So it's still the quality first. Molly and Karen, what do you think of cinemagraphs? And that's basically a form of animated GIF. They're coming out, and the Android phones and the iPhones are both. They're both. As a matter of fact, that's the only place you can make them is on a mobile phone, as far as I know. And they've got apps out there to build these things. And I would like to know what your take is on cinemagraphs, which is basically a almost still photograph with certain elements in it moving and looking real and looking alive. So a lady's face might be stationary, but her hair is waving in the background. It looks pretty good. So I want to know what you think about those.
I think anything that you can use that's going to catch a user's attention is a benefit. I know myself personally, just over the course of the last year, I've been doing a lot of posting on Google Plus and within different communities, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that when I use an animated GIF, now this is a little bit different than what you're talking about, but essentially it's the same concept. It's a moving picture. It gets a lot more attention. It gets a lot more photos, gets a lot more 1+s. So I think anything that a business owner can do to catch a user's attention is going to be of benefit, and I would strongly recommend that they use these.
Right. So my little bit of a tip clue on that is that cinemagraphs are generatable from a iPhone or an Android. So they have apps to do this, and you should be able to consider using it, try it out, and get creative, because if you're building a website, or even if you're posting online, you'll get some serious entertainment and attraction value without having to film a movie or be involved in that type of thing or be live. You can experiment with cinemagraphs, and they work pretty well, and it's cheap. You can do that for free. So that's cinemagraphs and animations. So we've basically got a wrap-up going here in 5 minutes. Is there any other last information you want to give with mobile? And yeah, I think that Molly, you had something that you wanted to bring in.
Yeah, I'm sitting here typing on my phone because somebody just pinged me on Hangouts. So I think that's a testament right there as to mobile being more friendly. But yeah, what I would like to quickly just touch upon is people using their mobile device for shopping. I know a year ago there was a lot of apprehensiveness about it because like, I don't know if it's secure. I think that is now changing. I know there's been several studies done where they've shown where not only are people buying more from their mobile device, but they're using their mobile device to price compare when they're in an actual store. In fact, and as crazy as it sounds, I know that Google right now is now mapping store locations, meaning say you're in a store and you don't know what aisle dog food's on. You're in the future going to be able to go to your mobile device and go, I'm in Walmart, yada yada, this particular location, and it will give you directions within the store to be able to locate different products. So, those type of insights, I think, and I've actually heard a story, and it's going to go back to Google Partners Community. We were talking about that and about how neat it was that they were mapping stores out, and one of the partners said, "Oh, well, then if I'm there, I could literally just stand there from my mobile device and purchase the item and then just go pick it up," which in theory you could do. And I've actually seen Taco Bell doing this, and Zaxby's, a couple of the different restaurant chains where you can go online from your mobile device and actually purchase food, and then you literally just show up and pick up your food. So I think that's another testament to mobile and purchasing from mobile, that I think as people become more familiar with interacting with the device, kind of like I was describing earlier, where there's kind of a learning curve of getting on there and working from it and buying from it. But I think as people become more and more familiar with it, it's going to increase. In fact, the last Google Partner Connect event, they mentioned a statistic that an average mobile user picks up their mobile device between 75 and 150 times per day. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot of times to pick up something, So, my insight would be just plan for mobile. It's not going away. Do anything you can do to move forward with the mobile revolution.
That's really interesting that you bring that up. Thank you.
Well, I was going to also add to, Molly, back to your comment where you were talking about phobias. I mean, that's back to that part about someone having 75 to 100. You got a phobia that you have to keep picking up your phone, where you're just kind of checking it out. That's the part of the psychology, right, of the phone. Like, I have to keep looking at it. And then I think also too, back to your comment, I think Target right now has, curb wheels or something. I saw that where you can actually purchase on your phone and you can basically pick it up right there. I mean, you don't have to physically go in the store. They've actually designated parking now in front of Targets where you can actually have the individual come and actually drop it in your car, merchandise that you've purchased through Target. Yeah, at least at the Targets I've seen out here in California. Wow.
That's crazy.
I think it's happening, and I think, back to your other comment, I didn't partake in Black Friday like I would normally have done, but I have seen actually out there yesterday, there were a lot of people with their phones looking at racks, and then looking at their phone and looking at the rack. So I think price comparison is very important. We've come to that part where we're looking at making sure that can we get a better deal, whether online, and I think I heard yesterday on the news too that talked about how this year mobile and online shopping has taken over Black Friday. They had less traffic in stores and more traffic online. And plus, all the sales have come, accumulated until Friday, right? You had sales prior to that people have been just shopping all the way along, so that when actually Friday came, Friday morning, which normally people would have gone out, there were less people out there.
That's a really good observation, because I was in a local store and they were one of the clerks was commenting to her, like, we thought it was going to be a lot busier today. Yes. And now that makes perfect sense as to why it wasn't busy, because more and more people are buying. They're buying from their mobile phone. They're buying from home. I mean, what's the point in going out if you can go online and get the same deal? So that's a great point.
And free shipping, right?
Yeah, there you go. Free shipping. Don't even have to bring it. They bring it to you.
So that's what mobile is. It's free shipping. That's the key, Roland. If you want to do anything online, you have to have free shipping.
Well, it's obviously that mobile is changing the way we do business in the world. It's literally changing the face of e-commerce, and functionality, lifestyle, completely. And Black Friday is definitely not dead, whether they're leaning towards mobile or not. I mean, my son's girlfriend works at Kohl's, and they just did $300,000 in one day. So that's
Wow.
one store in one day. So that's doing business. And if we think about it, there's the storefront is not going away, but it's going to be modified by mobile, and it reflects what Molly was saying about the restaurants, the food industry. My wife was coming home the other night and ordered a salad from BJ's, the restaurant. I don't know if you're familiar with BJ's, but they're a pretty not exactly upscale, but it's a very nice restaurant, Swank. And she ordered a salad and something, and she drove up in the car in the front in the temporary pickup zone, and they literally walked the order out to her in the car. She didn't even open the car door. And this is a restaurant without a drive-through. So literally, mobile is affecting the way people do business. And good business practitioners are recognizing their customers and going that little step further. Take this out to that client because we know her, and that's good business. So mobile, as a result, we know for sure mobile is changing the way and the face of the world and how we do business.
It's going to be interesting for Monday, because Monday is called Cyber Monday for shopping, and it used to be 15, 20 years ago was that most people would shop online at work, right, because we didn't have internet at our homes. And so now Monday will be an interesting sign to see how much activity is going to be, in terms of shopping online, because that was traditionally the day that people would shop.
Right.
So the next deals is going to be on Monday, and so it'll be interesting to see if the numbers are going to be increasing, or has most people been shopped out already because of all the shopping that's occurred before Cyber Monday.
And then next year we'll have the catch-up Tuesdays and the follow-up Wednesdays, and it goes on and on. By the way, I wanted to ask the crowd out there in the show, I know that you guys have been having fun commenting and so forth, but all I want to know is, where in the world is Carmen Mandich? And we're trying to get you into the green room eventually and say hi to you. And I'll just make it a point and a goal to get you live on an HOA before anyone else does. And wish me luck. So we're going to sign up for the day. I know that we can keep on talking and having fun with that. But that's the wrap-up on mobile. And we'll probably have updates as we go along. And Karen says, Carmen Mandich is our next unicorn. So maybe we'll have a unicorn sighting in the future. That's right. And thank you very much, everyone, for showing up. Have a wonderful holiday weekend, and we'll see you soon as we go into the December run of Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. Good day, everybody.